Hello and welcome back to Farmstead MTG. There's something nice about starting a new video series, because after a while I get really tired of watching the same deck in the same tournament and all that. So I'm always looking forward to the next series, and here it is. So in this series I've traveled to Denmark to play with the Eel Castle Cup, the Electric Eels in Aalborg. They have a great community, and I think there was like 80 people in this tournament. So yeah, really good turn up. So what to play? Because of course my go-to deck is to play the counterburn deck, but since I'm a kind of a YouTuber now, I need to play different things and make my content more diverse. So I've done some thinking, and also there is a shark tournament coming up in Arvika. So this is my last big tournament before the shark tournament, so this will give me a place to play test something. So I went with the Kalle curve. And what is Kalle curve? Well, let me show you. So first of all, let's talk a bit about the history of this deck. You can see here is the first iteration. This deck is made by Kalle, and he was one of the founders of Old School. And when you start up in Old School, if you have those 5 Moxen, you notice that if you play first turn a land, a Mox, into a Fellow Stone, and in turn 2 you play another land, then you have 4 mana. And what to do with 4 mana? You can play a Suchi, or you can play an Urnam Djinn. So that is like the basic, what we call the Kalle curve. So Kalle played this deck for many years. I haven't talked to Kalle about this story, but I guess it's kind of how it went. Anyways, he played it for some years, and then he did some changes. So let me put up the new version, and here it is. You can see he have the cut green, so no more Urnams. Instead there are Serra Angel, which is the best creature in Old School. He also have access to Sword of Plowshare and Disenchant, some of the best removal, or the best removal. There are lightning bolts, there are copper tablets and there are copy artifacts and suchis. So this deck is super explosives. He has cut back a bit on Fellow Stone. There's only 2 now, because Serra Angel is a 5-drop and not a 4-drop. But this deck won the Plague tournament that we had in Norway, and that was Kalle who was playing it. And after that, I think Svante played it in BSK, a big tournament in Sweden, and he won that tournament. So this is a good deck. So I pretty much hate to play white. I don't know why, but this deck is really cool. It has all the restricted cards. It can do a bunch of powerful things. So I did some playtesting, and the deck just felt insane. My playtesting results were really good. So this is the deck I went with. So I think I did some minor changes to the deck. I think I put in a Tundra, and there was an Icy Manipulator in the main deck, and perhaps I did something in sideboard. I can't remember, but it is important that if you see a card in the sideboard and you're thinking, why is that in there? And when should I put it in? You probably shouldn't play it, because then you will not sideboard it in correctly. So I'll try to have a sideboard and a main deck where I understand every card in the deck, if that makes any sense. So this deck can have a very aggressive game 1. You can ramp out to a Suchi and make a copy with a copy artifact. and do some fast damage and finish off with some burn spells. And that's a game plan I like. After game 1 there is a bunch of options. I can talk a bit about sideboarding and make a few examples after that. If I'm playing against a white deck, I will put in the sages. If I'm playing against white, I think they will put in Divine Offering and Disenchants. So then the sage is great to sacrifice my own artifacts in response to removal. There are 2 Divine Offering and 1 Disenchant. They're great against decks with artifacts. Against more mid-range decks, Sword to Plowshare is better than Lightning Bolt. Control Magic is also great against mid-range. You have Armageddon, really great finisher versus the deck. And the Red and Blue Blast, yeah, they're pretty much talk for themselves. There is 1 Triskelion. They're good against the Abyss or against weenie strategies. So that is something. So before a tournament I try to make a sideboard plan. So here we can take a look at my plan versus robots. You can see Lightning Bolt isn't great against the deck with a bunch of 4/4 creatures, and Fireball isn't great either. What is great is the artifact removal in sideboard, so the Plowshares are great, and the Red Elemental Blast is great, but only if they play with Copy Artifact and Psionic Blast. So that the Red Blast depends on their build, I guess. I'm cutting a Time Twister and a counter spell. I'll try to keep at least 1 mana drain and 1 counter spell at all time, just to have some outs against Mind Twist. So that's an example of how I would sideboard against robots. I can put up a picture versus the deck. So the deck can be really tricky, because they can change their deck after game 1. Armageddon is always good. The red burn spell isn't that great. If I'm thinking that they're putting in 4 angels after sideboard, the Sword Plowshare can come in. If I think they're pretty heavy on Abyss, I can put in the Triskelion. So the deck has so many flavors, so it's kind of hard to know what to do. You just gotta go with a feel after what cards you've seen in game 1, and that can of course change in game 2, and then you have to adapt in game 3. So yeah, that's some sideboarding. So we have chosen a deck, and this is a pretty spiky deck, yes, but I'm kind of feeling the pressure, because when I'm bringing my cameras and traveling to another country to play a tournament, I want to have a good performance. I don't think this series will be good if I go 1-5 or something. So, but I have plans for some budget tournaments in the future. So yeah, that will come also. Because sometimes I'm traveling with my wife, and I don't have 2 sets of power, so if she is coming, it's a good opportunity for me to play something budget, like I did with the Going Green series. So yeah, and I did some new tech in this series, because I have my main camera, and I did bring a hand cam, so I could film my hand while I was playing, and I should have play tested that a bit before the tournament, because it was really strange to hold your hand in a specific way, because when you played for so many years and you're used to doing the same thing, and just that little thing got me a bit off, I guess. So I wasn't that happy with some of my plays in this tournament, and I haven't watched the videos, so it's going to be interesting to see. And I don't want to only show videos where I'm winning and have great plays. I think it's it's a good learning to see when you're making mistakes and have it sting a bit, and then do better next time. I'm not saying that the tournament went awful, but I wasn't happy with some of my plays, and I'm very hard on myself. So I think it's going to be great. Some good plays, some bad plays. Let's see what happens. So on next Monday, I will release round 1. So until then, goodbye and take care.